Hello everyone, Stefan here. So, welcome to stream number 6. Welcome. Hope you guys are doing good. You had a good week. It's almost the weekend. It is the weekend actually. So, I guess you guys are looking forward to this, just like me. But in the meantime, we're gonna do a little bit of pixel art as usual. So last time, if you guys remember, we were doing this guy, Leatherface, from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I ended up having, in my opinion, I was like, I had most of the block out done. I was not super happy with a few things, but I thought it was a good time to stop. I had streamed for 3.5 hours and it was getting a little long, so so I stopped there. And in the meantime, had a little bit of time and I was really eager to go back to it. Actually, I should have probably streamed earlier, but I didn't want to move forward with this guy without you guys seeing it, because you've been there, especially for the people who were there last time. It would have been pretty bad if they couldn't see the end of it. But however, I did just a couple of things. If you guys remember, there was two things that I didn't quite like. One was legs, as usual, always a problem for me. So I did two more versions of the legs, this one and this, and I ended up finding that personally I like this one better, because in this version, even though those two have exactly the same body or upper body, except maybe a few colors, like the shirt here is a little more yellow than this one, but the body is essentially the same. But when you look at it, I feel like, you remember, I wanted this guy to look like, he's a little bit crazy, so he's brandishing the chainsaw, and he's kind of like almost arcing back a little bit, and this, it feels more like the pose that I was expecting than this one. Plus this feels a little unbalanced, a little weird. So, well, just as usual, legs spread apart, just like I said last time. But in that case, I feel like this is probably the best choice still. And I really put a lot of perspective in those legs, because if you see, usually I have about one pixel difference between the two. I was explaining last time that the idea for this is just really to give a little bit more perspective to the character when they face dead on the camera, and both feet are exactly on the same level. It's not as dynamic as when you have that sort of stuff going on. This feels a little more 3D, so that's why I did the same thing here. But this is a way more extreme than what I usually do, and this is what partly contributes to the fact that I think he looks like he has a lot of perspective, this guy, because this leg is way further than this one. So I think in that case, it works okay. It's a little rough in terms of the feels very pixelated, because I didn't try to fix this too much and find the perfect flow for the pixels on the edge. But for the most part, it's it's okay, I think. And the other thing that bothered me was both arms. They were very symmetrical, so it felt almost like mirrored. And same thing, it was a little bland. It didn't feel nearly as dynamic that I wanted. And so I did change one of the arms. This one hasn't changed, but I changed this one, and I made it like it's closer to his head, and it's very much bent backwards. If you look, do I have a reference of this somewhere? Oh, I didn't keep that picture, unfortunately, last time. Let me find it again. But the point was, to me that feels more interesting, because here I can put the emphasis on the bend on the arm, having the light hitting the top of the arm there, and I can clearly show the bend in the elbow. Not really well done still, but you see everything that's here is darker because it's not facing directly up. So it's a little trick just to give it a little bit more, you know, a little bit more form and volume to the arm. So overall, I was not too displeased with that. And so they're not like drastic changes, but I wanted to go over that because you guys probably noticed that it was a bit different. So I guess we'll just jump right into it. Not much further explanation or catch up to do. So I guess we'll start. So sit back, relax, enjoy the pixels. So I'm gonna get rid of this guy now and keep this. I'll keep it on the side just in case I have, you never know, a doubt with the legs, you know, last second cold feet, no pun intended, but I think there's a good chance we're gonna go with this guy, unless someone thinks I made a mistake and I should go with the other one, in which case you should talk now or stay silent forever. Oops. If I use the pen, it's gonna work way better. Okay, hold on. What is going on? Okay, so let's do this. I'm gonna start by just fixing the whole outline now. I want to make sure that there's no, like, you know, kinks or weird sort of isolated pixels or lines that feel too a little too rough. For this, there's not much I can do. That's the angle that does that. In a case like this, to be honest, if it was for a game and I would have to animate, there's a chance I would, even without animation actually, there's a chance that I would do the anti-aliasing manually. So I would take this color and then go 50% or even 70. So you can see here the result, and maybe one more on 40. So that's with, and I'll show you without now. So if you look here, you can clearly see that this leg looks like there's more pixel than this one. You can't really see the pixels too much anymore. It feels kind of a smoother edge. But I don't really need to do that again, because the flip side is that it looks a little blurry. It's not as crisp. So that bothers me just a little bit. And for me, since I'm gonna print those guys on cards, and they will only take about 1/3 of the card in the sort of vertical axis, and maybe not even half along the horizontal axis. So they're going to be very small actually. So it's not like you're going to be able to really see the pixels that much. I mean, you're going to see them, but it'll feel right. It'll feel like, okay, we're still in the world of pixel art, but it won't feel super blocky and you know, and pixelated. It's not the same as when you look at it on a screen like this, and screens, they tend to be very sharp too. So this will make everything look worse than it would be once it's in printing anyway. So that being said, this is something you can do if you if you do this, and then you realize that you feel like it's a bit too too rough, then you can do the manual anti-aliasing. And really the principle is very simple. Again, you take your color wherever, so it's always more obvious when there's high contrast. Like I said, for instance, if I do this sort of stuff and I follow the same sort of, it's not as jarring as it is on high contrast. So, and the way you want to do this again is basically mixing, kind of creating a transition between that pixel, which is one color 100%, and this is 100%. So this is 100% white and this is 100% blue. Okay, so you pick that color if you want to do it for the edge, because you want a transparency at the edge, and then you do, let's say 50% or 60%, and then 30 or something. And that's kind of like if you want to be able to change the color in the background, right? Because if I do this, then this will work on any color for the background, like so. I'll show you real quick. I'm gonna do correct. So this will work no matter what the color is, because those are transparent pixel. They are semi-transparent pixel. So they'll take the color that is underneath. See, so they do the perfect transition between that color and whatever is here, right? They change because this is transparency. If you make a game, it's a little different, because sometimes you don't necessarily have a mask. At least back in the days, masks, if for sprites, they didn't have a lot of values. The way a mask works, if you're not familiar with this, is it's basically levels of gray, where white is completely opaque and black is completely transparent, right? So what you would do in a case like this is that you would have those color at all the pixels at the color that you want, 100%, but then in the mask you would have all of this would be white, full white, this would be full black, and this would be somewhere in between. But back in the days, you didn't have a lot of, so the more different values you have of gray, the smoother you can make the aliasing. But back in the days when I was working on, for instance, on Atari ST or Amiga, you didn't have all those colors for the mask. It was a 1-bit, what we call a 1-bit mask, because in 1 bit you can do two values, 0 and 1, right? So so that means that your mask can only be one of two colors, white or black. If you have a 8-bit mask, then you can do 256 different variation from white to black, and so you can have very smooth masks. That's a bit technical, but I don't know if you guys are interested in it. But so when you're going to make a game, you're going to have to know how many colors you have in your mask. And usually now, I mean, we don't live in a world anymore where such limitations exist. So nowadays you can always have like as many colors as you want in the mask, pretty much, at least 256, which is more than enough to do anything you want. You can have like perfectly smooth, transparent gradient in a game like right now with any sprite. But I don't need to do this, so I won't do any of the. Let's see, oops. So I don't need to do any aliasing, but you get the idea. And if that's not clear, and if someone has more questions about masks and stuff, I can explain this a little more and show you an example of what a mask would do on a sort of a real case. We'll just for now I'll just try to make, so in that case I just want to make sure that there is roughly the same number of pixels, because it's always better when, if you can, when you're a bit more even, you know, like this will always look a bit better even though you see clearly the pixels, than something like this, for instance. See, because there here it really puts the emphasis on the pixels. In here, since at least it's even, you don't really pay attention to it that much. So for this, I try to keep, if I can, my lines relatively sort of even, and create some clean sort of curves or outside lines, edges. It's not always possible. Obviously, sometimes you can't do that. You need a certain line and it's a little crooked, but you know, that's the way it is. And in that case, you don't have to bang your head on the walls to just try to make it work. You know, after all, it's called pixel art for a reason. You know. Just going to change the color real quick because in the film, I think it looks like, it's very hard to tell. It's an old movie. I didn't get, when I watched it, I watched it on Amazon Prime, but the quality wasn't great. I don't think it was any restored version or anything, so it was pretty difficult, and it's moving a lot, and with the lighting it's very hard to know for sure what his pants were in terms of color. I did a little bit of a blue because I figured maybe I need a little bit of color so it's not as sad, but I think for him, I think I'll keep it gray. I think can always change later, but so if I want to do something completely, if I want to remove all the saturation but keep the values, I select this, what I want, and then I'll go, you know, image, adjustment, hue, saturation, and then you just kill all the saturation, and this will go to black and white, right? And also I really want to show the bend in the knees. The same idea always. I do this very often when you have a limbs, something, arms or legs, and they bend. I tend to have the part of the limb that's facing up a little lighter, and the part that is underneath and recessed in shadow. So that helps to read the bend. It's very simple, but it's quite effective. So it's something you can do very easily. So I'm just gonna just this a little bit, because like I said, since I want this to show the difference in color between the two, when it's dark, it's quite hard to read, and especially on a white background. I'll show you on the, let's say if this background was darker, then you see the difference between the two a lot more, but white tends to make all the dark colors very hard to read. So since I know I'm going to be on white in the end, then I can just I can afford to go a little brighter. So I'll use the level for this usually. So I'll do something like this. As long as it still more or less reads as a dark pants, it's okay to do this, I think, you know, because they read as dark compared to everything else, and you can still see the lighting on them. Same thing here. If I want to suggest the fact that the apron would cast a shadow on that leg, then I can take this color, in the color that's pants in shadow, and then just, you know, paint a shadow, right? Simple. Try that for now. This guy, there's not much to do here. That's all right, I think. It's okay. This is pretty smooth, so I think I'm gonna keep this. Go a little higher. Just gonna move this pixel so there's not. I don't really like tangents like this. You know, they create a loop. It's a little weird. So this stuff, usually you want to either overlap clearly, you know, things, or keep them out of the way from each other. But when you're like creating that sort of stuff and it kind of touches, butts to something else, then it's hard to read. You don't really understand what's going on here. So I tend to try and separate them a bit. Pretend that one is maybe a little longer. So here, same thing. I'm going to try and get a nice clean edge. See, so this is a bit more even now, so that feels a little better. So something like this. Can try to suggest another shadow here, actually. Be something like this. So when you want to create that sort of shadow, so you have to imagine what's going on. So if you imagine that the apron is kind of flying, sort of floating away from him, but this spot is still close to the body, right? This spot would be closer to the body or to the leg, since it's attached there, it's tied. So since it's tied there, it means that this is very close to the body. But here, you know, the apron does this sort of motion, right? So there's more space here between leg and apron than there is here. So that means that you're going to see a larger shadow. So you can do that sort of stuff. That's a good way to understand how to cast shadows. You have to imagine how far the thing that casts the shadow is from the thing that receives it. If that makes sense. Okay. Same thing here. You would probably, if it didn't end up being so small on a card, would probably do anti-aliasing here. So maybe I'll do something like this, you know, like, and that makes it a little less jarring than that, right? With and without, with, without. But since I decided not to do it for most characters, then, you know, I'm gonna stick to it. So legs is not too bad. Kind of like to suggest the fact that the pants are kind of like folding over the shoe, but still it's too big, and it creates a weird, you know, 1 pixel is just too much. So I think it's better to just get rid of it. Here I just suggest just a little bit of a, you know, top of the shoe. We'll see if maybe we need 2 pixels maybe. Since this guy is you know, he's kind of a big guy, so can have feet a little bigger for him. Though this, like this. So could also have this entire leg in shadow, but not sure what's the best. I kind of like to have it because this shadow really helps for it's it a little more interesting, you know. So I think I'll keep it like this probably. Make sure that I have exactly the same color everywhere. So quickly I'll repaint all of this clean. So I think on the stream there might be a little difference in color that you can't really see on the stream, but I can see it on the stream. Okay. Okay, so we're good with that. Now, I think here, it's always, whenever I'm really happy when I have an opportunity to have something overlapping something else, you know, whether it is like an arm going in front of the body or any sort of overlapping is always good because you can have shadows and interesting shapes on top of each other. So I'll try to have the same here, something a bit more interesting for the tie, so that I can draw a little bit of a shadow on top, underneath. Take this guy. Okay. This is a little messy, this part. I'm gonna try to fix this. But for now, just gonna focus on the shape of the tie. I think it was pretty short, if I remember well. Yeah, and there's some kind of print on it. I'll try to do it because that's part of the character. Let's see. This one is longer than what it is. I think it was shorter than that. Just gonna quickly go for a reference here. Face. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's fairly sure. Let me see. Oh, here. It's not too long. Oh, here's a good one. Can really see the, so around, yeah, so I think it's about that. I can have it a little longer. I don't mind a little longer actually. Oops. And then there's the nut here. This would be the little color for the shirt. And then yeah. Let's see, too thin over there. Again, it's a matter of finding something that flows well, but that is not too simple. You kind of want to feel a bit of chaos in it, but not too much, you know. I think maybe, hold on. Maybe that. Maybe that. It's a bit long, but I kind of like that, this sort of like S curve, you know. It's kind of cool. It's a little more dynamic that if I just do this, you know, it's like boom. It's a little weird, but this feels a little more like fabric kind of in the wind. So I don't mind that. I think maybe what we can do is just put it a little higher. Yeah, something like this maybe. I think that's not too bad. Just turn him, flip it, just to see how it feels. Not bad. I think here I can do that. Yeah, right? Okay, we'll keep this. Now we can create a little bit of a shadow. So what you can do, what I'd like to do is, I'll take the color, whatever that color is, and then I'll paint in multiply. So I'll basically multiply that color on itself. And what it will do is that it'll create a darker version of that color and retain a lot of interesting saturation. If I click one more time, see, I have another even darker, and one more time, and I can keep going like this. So that's a good way of really quickly creating a palette or a gradient. So, and then you can always keep the colors on the side. You can do, for instance, you can do this, and then you do 2, and then 3, 4, and then you keep this, and then you have your your color picker. You can just pick the colors in there. Back to normal. For now, I think I'll do maybe this, and we'll see if it's not dark enough. We can always come back. So same idea, right? Which part of the tie is closer to the body? This part is close, right? And it goes away from the body in this area. So you start a shadow close, and then you leave more space. As you go, you kind of separate them more. That's a good way of always of thinking in two shadows. Something like this, you see? There. Now you have your little shadow. So generally, the way shadows work, you can do that. Let's say you do, you know, an illustration, a painting or something. Generally, at least shadows for, let's say, the sun or something like this. The way shadows work is you have your thing here. Let's say this is a stick in the ground, and it will create a shadow, right? The shadow, and this is the, so okay, we're gonna do this. Imagine this is your perspective, right? This is stuck into this, and we want to create a shadow of this. So shadow is darker as it's close to the source of the shadow, and goes as it goes further away from whatever casts the shadow, it goes lighter and more blurry. So a good way of doing a shadow would be, you take, we're going to do it with real lots of colors so you can understand. So we'll do this big. This is a little side project just so you guys see. So I got my thing here. So if I want to do a shadow, I'll do this. All right, that's my shadow. That's 100% sharp, right? And so what you can do is, then say we're going to take we're going to make a selection here, and I'm going to blur it a lot. This is going to be my transition, and then now blur, motion blur. So effectively what this is going to do is that it's going to blur more as I go away, right? And so I can finish with this, take the blur tool. And then I'm going to erase the shadow as I go further. And that's how shadow work. Because what happens is that the light comes in parallel, all the lights rays come parallel, and they keep parallel when the source is close to the whatever receives the shadow. But with the distance, the light scatters in direction, and that's why when they reach this point, then light rays, instead of being concentrated in one spot, they are spread from here to there, and that's why the shadow gets, it's basically all those, imagine all this rays are sort of spread out, all this is spread out along this, and so that's why you get more and more blurry, and that's why also you see it less and less, because it spreads out more and more until you can't see it. There you go. That was the quick introduction about why shadows become blurry. And if you're interested, it's always interesting to learn a bit about how light works when you're a painter or an illustrator, because that helps you. If you know how things work, it's like anatomy. The more you know how things work, the easier it is to paint them, because you know, you understand what's going on. It's not like you're trying to figure out, you understand the logic behind it. And if you understand the logic behind something, it's like building an engine. You know, you couldn't build an engine if you don't know how an engine works, but if you know, then you can build it. So you don't have to learn and remember by heart, you know, which piece goes where and what does what, because you know how it works. And so that's the same with painting. When you know a little bit about light and colors and how things work, and it's easier to paint. And even for pixel art, you can use some of that stuff, like just the little trick of the distance to the shadow. That's something you can do. You could even do the fading with the distance, for instance. See, you could do that if you really want to be fancy. But on a sprite like this, because it's so small, I like to be very, you know, deliberate and clean. You're a little more caricatural, you know, you're not as subtle when you do things at that size, obviously, because they don't register so well with the eye. Oops. Okay, so we got this, we got him, we're happy with that. Keep this. What else? I think this guy will go quick now, so there's a chance we'll start something else after. I don't know what. Maybe we'll do a little bit of something a little quicker that I can finish in one session. Maybe an environment, or a little tile, a little isometric tile or something. Now I start to render a little bit shadows and stuff a little more. Here I'm tempted to use one extra value, just to get a little bit of form to this area, but I don't want it to be too dark. I still want to be able to see the limit where the arm connects, but here I don't necessarily want to keep the whole torso in one value, so I can use one more just to this is all right. Okay. So cloth, it's always good to think in terms of gravity when you do when you paint cloth. So for instance, a sleeve like this, if I paint it like that, well, it's a little weird because if he raises his arm like this, then the sleeve, it's a bit loose on the arm, so it'll probably stay stuck on one side, the side that's above the arm, but then it will kind of, you know, it will sag underneath. So that's why it will probably create this sort of shape, you know. If it was a super tight t-shirt, then it would be stuck to the arm like this, you know. But since it's not, then you want to create a little bit of impression that something like this. And even a bit of a thickness to it. It's okay to do that. Here we'll do the same. Oops. Like this. I'll try to make the arm really clean. Needs to be a bit beefy. See, relatively big guy, so it's worth making him a bit big in terms of forearms. Then this, so he holds it like this. This hand, and they're always a bit tricky to do. In here it's relatively easy because, you know, it's just fists that are, you know, clutching on something, but sometimes hands can be a little difficult to do because it's either one pixel too much or one pixel not enough, you know. There's always, it's never quite exactly what you want, because they're very small and subtle. So I think that works all right. Oh, hold on. Yeah, I think it's not bad. So hair, we're going to do quite dark. Just one cutoff of that is enough for now. Here, you can try and get a bit of a, try to suggest some flying hair because he's a bit nuts, but this time at this size it's very difficult. Always do a little lighter. It's gonna be tricky. Like this maybe. Okay, combine that. We'll see if we can suggest some sort of flesh tone underneath, but I doubt that we can do that. I don't know. That's all right like this. So arm, okay. Let's see. If I can do a bit of lighting here, but probably not. I can't really do much there. Not too. Something that bothers me in that arm a little bit. Not sure what it is. It's all right. It's all right. I would like to just a little bit of that. Not easy there. Just a bit of an edge, but I think I'll use one more intermediate color there, just to have just a little bit of something, a bit of form, but not too much. Okay, we're getting, I think we're getting really close now. Oh, there was something on the tie. I don't like that there's something, to be honest, because this is gonna make it very weird and not readable. So I'm gonna try, but I may skip that pattern on the tie. We'll see. See the prime? It's kind of, I'm gonna keep it low contrast at least. That's all right. We can do that. No? Yeah, I think that's probably fine. A bit of a shadow there. Just like this. This goes too far. I think it works a bit better like this. Okay. Now it's only the really it's only about the apron now. Pretty much done at this point. I'm gonna make the apron, and then we'll do a little bit of rendering on the chainsaw. So apron, I'm gonna try and suggest the that seam outside. We'll see if that works. If not, then take care of only the main rendering in terms of folds and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that's worth doing this. Gives him a little bit of just a bit more interesting. But here, same thing, you always try to find kind of a nice even line. Something like this. There you go. Here too. See if this works. Just gonna a little less obvious there. Okay. Now, question is, am I good enough to do some sort of rendering of some folds? Or it was a bit tricky to do, but can try. I'm gonna do, don't want it to be too strong. It's probably enough. I want too much contrast in this sort of stuff. Probably plenty as it is. There you go. It would be cool, but I don't know if I can pull that off. I'll show you something. So very rarely I have the I put specularity or reflection. So specularity, if you know, you guys know what it is. Basically, if you see something that that is metallic and it has a lot of reflections, it's high specularity. You know, like a car or a chrome bowl, or you know, something like this, or a buckle belt, or you know, and something that has low specularity is something that's matte, like fabric, you know, or you know, anything that is like rubber, for instance, very low. So what's metallic or wet generally are high specularity. So like this guy, you know, RoboCop, high specular. And then if you remember this guy, he had this sort of a slick, almost kind of almost wet skin. It felt very um, it wasn't dry, you know. It was reflecting the environment, so he had some specularity, and that's what I did here, you know. This sort of stuff you want spec hits. What we call spec hits is where basically the light source is the most reflected. So the sun would be above his head, and then his torso, if it's wet or little slimy, would reflect that light. And same thing for the horns. If they're very shiny, and they would make a spec hit here, you know. Same thing for metal, like buckles and stuff like that. So I don't put a lot of that sort of metallic or wet or shiny stuff generally. A little bit on her because she's got the, you know, the bikini with the scales. But sometimes it's cool to have it in a guy like this, since this is a very, I don't know what material it is, but it's very plasticky. So it definitely has more specularity than, you know, normal fabric like the shirt. So it's something that we could try and convey. This on a separate layer though. So in here, what I want is always lighter. You could do something like this, but it's not. The reason why I rarely do it is because it's hard to read them unless you have a lot of pixels. So I don't like when it makes everything a little confusing. Sometimes I'd rather not have it at all. See, with it gives it a little bit of shine. And see, this is very, it looks cool here, but I wouldn't do something like this. This what happens here is because they probably had a second light source somewhere over there, off screen, off camera, and that light reflected on here kind of bounced towards the camera, and so that's why you see this cool blue reflection there. But it would be close to impossible to do on such a minuscule little asset. So I think we'll keep it simpler. No, okay. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get rid of the blood altogether, and I'll re-add after. I would put, because I want to make sure that I get, first of all, I focus on the apron, I make the rendering as good as I can, and then only then I can add the blood. It'll be easy to do anyway. It's not like it takes a lot of time to do. Mm. Hmm. Maybe this. Okay, take this like that. That shadow is a little bit too dark. I think that's probably better like this. Also, since this is darker, you know, the little seam, than the apron, this is the color of the apron, the shadow on this, but I need to suggest that this line is continuing there, so I need to go a little darker here, right, in order to keep the shadow going on top of everything. Okay, so I think that's all right. I add another layer, do the blood on a separate layer. I don't want to go too over the top with blood because it just makes everything a bit hard to read. So I'd rather be a little less intense than what they have in here, where they have like big spot, you know. Not sure that's the best for such a small size. Okay. Something like that. Just gonna put a little more, just a bit here, because I don't like that it's too just on one spot. I think it's a bit hard to understand when it's all just in one spot. So I feel like we can do a little bit of a few drops here and there. I think that feels a little bit better to me. Yeah, what do you think? I think that's all right. I just wanna, I'm gonna just gonna select the entire apron and just play a little bit with the color overall. I'm not sure I like this yellow so much. I wonder if I should just try to adjust the contrast and the hue a little bit overall. So for something like this, I'll just select the entire thing and play with it a little bit with the adjustments. I think I have everything. Yep. Okay. Let's see. I don't know if I want too much contrast, and that. You could do very. It would be better if it was dark, but just to read on the it against the shirt, but it's not really the character. I mean, he has a yellow apron. I see this was a little bit too gold, and that's more like yellow. So that's better, I think. At least that. Then I can't really go too dark, unfortunately, because if I do this, then I would have to really kill the saturation, otherwise it's gonna look really weird. So yeah, can't do much for that, fortunately. Not too happy that this apron is yellow. It's not the best color, but fortunately that's what it is. It's unfortunate, but have to live with it. Okay, well, I think now really all I have to do is chainsaw detail, and that's that'll be it, I think. So see if we can suggest that maybe we can see a little bit of the thickness of the blade. They go like that. And then can we do something like this or not? Not sure how to represent this this blade. What if I go, okay, let me try something. I do like almost like there's like little indentation like the, is that worth doing? I don't know. Like that. What does he have? There's this thing is kind of cool. A circle. Maybe we can do that. This. So small. No. Can't do that. Let me see. It's all right, okay. Okay, the shape is a little more, it's a little more square, and like this maybe. Blade. Would go on top. Then maybe I can do 1, no, 1, 2, no, 2. I'd like to have this little thing, this little vent, but it's too small. I don't have enough pixels. Don't have enough pixels. That's a little detail. And then just enough specularity a little bit. Yeah, okay, so more or less. Actually, this handle is yellow, so I guess we could do that. Even though it's not gonna be the best color either, but we can try. Maybe a little shadow. Yeah, we can do that. How long is it? Oh, there you go. It's fairly long actually. Yeah, not too sure that I like that it's it probably looks a little more vicious if it's seen from the side like this. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think at this point, pretty much done with this guy. Trying to think if there's anything else I'd like to do, but I think I'm probably finished. Do you have anything else worth doing? Little lace there, the mask, but it's too small. I don't think I'll be able to suggest this. It's not worth it. No, I think I got everything now. So so there. I think we're good. Gonna move him around just to see how big he feels, if he seems all right or not. Yeah, it seems a bit. Yeah, I think he looks like a big guy, which was the idea, but he's still within the same scale, I think. Yeah, I think he works with everyone. Next to Conan. Conan is the biggest, obviously. Next to D. to him. Oh, look at those two guys. Very nice. Jack Torrance and Leatherface together. That would be a good team. Very scary team, but I wouldn't mind. I was thinking of something actually funny. Like, what's gonna be cool is to try and find some skills and some quirks and stuff like that for the characters. So, for instance, a guy like him, it would be funny if, like, he's really strong, you know, and he can instill terror in enemies, in the enemies. You know, there's a chance he terrifies them, but he terrorizes them. But also, there would be the flip side would be that you have a small chance at night. There would be a, I want to have like a light and a day phase and a night phase, and at night, a bit like if you guys play Darkest Dungeon, they can camp and all that sort of stuff. And so I was thinking I would have the game divided into two phases: the day phase where you do all your stuff, you explore and all of that, and the night phase where you try to, you know, you camp, you try to recoup and you eat and you do all you have to do for the next day. And it would be funny if at the night phase there's a minimum, like a small chance that he wakes up and starts killing people to try and eat them from your own team. So then there's always that chance, even though he's very strong, and there's a chance that he may make you win a lot of fights. The drawback is that he can go completely insane at any moment. That would be fun. That's gonna be fun to try and find some interesting dynamics and synergies between all those different guys. Okay, so I think we're done. And again, when I say done, I always mean CBB. Remember, could be better. So it's another case. I think at that point, is good enough, and I would eventually come back only if there's a real something that really bothers me that I just realized that I didn't see before. So Leatherface, boom. Let's bring here. Oops. Gonna make a quick shadow for him. There, done. That's it for him. Unless someone sees something that I should do right now. But I think I'm okay. I'm okay with him. Maybe that. Yeah, I think he's all right. There you go. So we're done with him. I hope you guys enjoyed the ride. Took some time, but you know, that's part of it. You have to, you know, it always takes some time to try and do something that you like, and sometimes even with a lot of time, you're still not happy. So the trick is that to try and not get discouraged and keep going. I certainly didn't get him very easily, but like I said, you know, it's always part of it. You have to keep trying, and then at some point you with a bit of luck you end up finding what you want. Okay, maybe we'll come back later in the future, you know, but as far as I can tell, I think he's in line more or less with everyone else. Okay, so there's some time. It's only, yeah, it's only 10:40, so I think we can try and do something else. Can't do something too long, like something that would take 3 hours, or even though I said this and it may end up taking 3 hours anyway. But I think I could try. I kind of want to try maybe another tie like this. That could be fun. If someone wants me to do something in particular, then you guys can suggest it in the chat. Otherwise, I think I'll do a quick environment tie. You know, we can try that. I wanted to something I wanted to do was a little river that would force you to try and find a boat, or in the game, a little river. So so I guess we could do that. Why not? You know. Let me see. Let's try and find some reference for that river. What does that say? So what? Okay, so that's an interesting one. I think having rocks along the stream, that's a pretty good thing. Can have big rocks, smaller rocks. That'll create an interesting pace. You always want to try and find something interesting that can create some a rhythm of shapes, big shapes and smaller shapes and medium shapes. So I guess rocks, they're a good thing for that. They're perfect because you can do pretty much anything you want. You just lay them out the way you want. So we'll have rocks in the water. Can I have some trees on the banks, or we can do just a simpler grass bank or something like this. Let me see, what else do we have? Big rocks like this, they're cool. You can also have some areas that are like this, that are a little quieter, and maybe some rocks, and then running water close to the rocks, like rapids. You can try and have a little bit of both, you know. That could be nice. And also reflection. If we have trees, the good thing with trees is that it's a better reflection in water because they're bigger shape. If you don't have anything, then all you do is reflect the sky, right? So it's kind of cool to have trees for that. So this is not too bad too, it's a good one. And for something like this, I don't necessarily try to find a reference that is exactly what I want to paint. It's more to try and find some of the themes that could be interesting, like the rocks, the running water, reflections. If you look at reference and you try to find all the things that are interesting in it, then you can put them in the picture without having to really copy anything. It's just a more matter of understanding what makes this interesting. But if you don't look at reference, it's harder to think about it, at least for me. Yeah, we can try something like this. I'm gonna close. Okay, hold on. A lot of space on my so I need to be very clever with the way I how come I can't? That's weird. Wow, so bizarre. This to be much bigger. Actually, I don't even need this. Keep that. Oh, this is so bad, this stuff. Okay, so let's close characters, go environments. I think I can maybe start from, I'm going to take this guy to start because I already have rocks and I have the all the values, shadow, light, I have grass, I pretty much everything I need in terms, so I can already pick those colors because I want to keep all those things consistent, obviously. So we'll take the take mountain here. Trees are separate, keep them separate because I knew I could potentially reuse some of that and I didn't want to have to remove the trees, so I'll use this guy. Okay. Okay, so let's go. Actually, hold on. Let me keep a few rocks on the side, just like this. Okay. So always in the beginning, I just try to put the main shapes. So I have to decide on the scale. The scale is always the most difficult for environment. Trying to find what's the best scale for what I want to represent. I think we're gonna take a random bluish color. Doesn't really matter. And just trying to find something interesting. So I could go bigger, more water, or less. can go quite fast in the beginning just to try and figure what would be the best. Not too sure what I want to do. And no. Most difficult for me here is to try and figure how much actual water I want. Not too sure what's the best. It's quite arbitrary. It's not like there's a, I'm sure there's a good and a bad way. So maybe there's a little bang. We have some rocks somewhere. Go quite fast because I just want to place a few things. Rocks, usually you want to create little clusters with like one big rock, you know, and then because usually the way the rocks, you know, they came from something, you know, they came from either like a bigger formation or something. So there was like like maybe there was like a cliff or something, and then a cliff after years and years and eons, you know, centuries, thousands of years, eventually these things they collapse, they disappear, and then they broke into smaller rocks. But then you always have like a big one, and then this one broke into several smaller ones. So oftentimes you see the rocks like this, they kind of you kind of have a big one and then a couple smaller around. And also it's a good tool to create some interesting shapes. So and it's not only the shape of one rock by itself, but it's more how you put them together in terms of different shapes, different you know, their relationship to one another. And look at here at the same time, you know, just to make sure that it looks okay. And then I'm gonna try to find the best color for reflection. Just gonna try and see if I can just suggest some reflections like this. See? And then there's like water is running here, so I want to suggest that there's a little bit of more chaotic between those. Right. So a little stream here that goes in between those two there, and then kind of flows into this. Can even, yeah, see, that's cool. It's kind of like goes above this rock and then kind of falls into the mainstream. It's not too bad. Like that. It's cute. Okay. Just going to flip it. Okay. Not too bad. I wonder if I should, let me try something real quick. Should open it up more. After all, why not, you know? I feel like those guys, they could be a little more offset. Let this spot breathe a little bit. Let's see. Then we can suggest that stream divides into this. Thing like that. Maybe. This rock would make a shadow there. Here, same thing. We can have a little bit of a shadow on those rocks. Get rid of that. Just want to make sure that Now, gonna copy the trees because I think it'll work well. Yeah, I think it'll work nicely. Gonna flip them. And I think I'm gonna use those two maybe. Should I want them somewhere in there? And just gonna change them a little bit so not exactly the same as in the other. Doesn't really matter, but you know, just might as well change them a little bit. This one could be a little shorter. Well, I don't mind that. I think it's nice. What do you think? It's all right, right? Can do oops. Hold on. Okay. Can even now shadow of the tree. Might as well. With that. Now we have the bank of the river, so it's probably worth suggesting some kind of bank. Not I don't like this color, but I'm just gonna find something better for that. Let's see if I can do a more of a sandy. Not sure, but it could be good. Let's see if we can do that. The problem is those values, they're too close. So you see here, can't really see too much the difference. I want to make sure that I read the bank differently than the grass, but I don't want too much contrast either. So in case like this, I can go like try and find I think I need to go pretty high saturation. I'll suggest a bit of sand or something. Like that. Yes. Can have another little rock here, you know, because this will help to read. Maybe this will help a little bit. Something like that. Here we got our reflection. Not too bad. Yeah. Here, so here we have a nice little space there to do something. Just have to think. There's something cool we could do. I wonder. I like to make this not too perfectly straight, so that it looks you know, a little bit more natural. I have rocks here in the just change it so they don't look exactly like the ones um, the ones that I did there. Okay. It's not too bad. Let's see. Oh, I like these little suggestion of flowers. I think I'm gonna keep this here. It'll, you know, almost like there's flowers. Same thing. I try to put them in little clusters. This. See if I could do just maybe a little just like a little hill or something, you know. It's kind of nice, you know. There's a little yeah, a little bump. It could be cool. And then maybe one last rock somewhere, a little shadow. So that works more or less. Just gonna a little bit of a just to suggest a little bit of a grass. Maybe some more reflections here. Hey Seth Myers, welcome. How are you? Are you new? You just is it the first time you come here? It's only my sixth stream right now, so pretty new to this. So not too many people yet come back regularly, but you know, like I said, and I always say that one person or 1,000 or 10,000 if there's one person here, and I'm very happy to share that my little pixel adventures. um, yeah, I think it's all right. What do you think? It's quick, but sometimes, like I said, comes easy, sometimes comes hard. I guess this one was fairly easy. I had a good base. This one took me longer because I had to find a way to represent the trees and find the right values for the rocks and all that stuff. So at least I had all that figured out already. So it was much easier to do with this. Oh, look at what I did there. Let's see. Flip it. Yeah, I mean, I guess we can call that a river, right? I mean, there's water running, some rocks, a couple of trees. Should I? Okay, let's try something just for fun. Should I do water there? You know, since it's we're cutting through. I guess it's kind of nice to do that, right? I wonder. I mean, why not? We can do that, I think. Yeah, I think we can do that. Is it silly? I wonder. Well, I can do I mean, that doesn't make sense, but I could do this, but that would be fun. Like, you know, a little bit of a the water is actually kind of streaming. Should I do that? Doesn't bother me. I think we could do that. Why not? I think I'll keep it like that. Maybe I'll change my mind later, but I don't mind it. This is a bit too much water. I wonder if I should maybe bring this a little closer. Yeah, maybe like this. Right, something like that. So I don't mind. And we see the bank here better now because it's a bigger space, I guess. I think it's probably better. So a couple of flowers here, one here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep this one. So that took wow, that was quick. How long did it take? Maybe what, half an hour? Something like this? Maybe a bit more? Yeah, about half an hour. Wow, that was cool. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should do. Actually, I did a bit of a TLIcing there, so I'll do it as well. We'll do it. Like that. Boom. What else could we do on this guy? Sometimes you don't need to go crazy, you know. You can just I think it's probably enough. Trying to think if there's anything else that could be cool. Gonna make a little shadow here from this rock to this one. See, if you look here, it's a little better with from here to there. See, this rock here is casting a shadow across this big one. This could be a better shape, I think. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Are we happy with that? Shall we keep it? I think it's all right. So don't save this. We don't need this. Don't save that. There you go, guys. So today we finished this guy. Very angry character. If you haven't seen the movie, I recommend it, unless you're under 18, because technically you should be 18 to watch this movie. It's pretty brutal. It's actually quite terrifying, in fact. But at least for me, when I saw it the first time, I was like, oof, yeah, it was a bit rough. And again, it's not really about the gore or anything, but it's just the idea of it it's really bizarre. The scene where they have the dinner in particular is quite disturbing. I think it inspired quite a bunch of other scenes that I can think of, but I don't want to spoil it, because obviously if you guys haven't seen it, then you will see for yourself. Yeah, it's a pretty cool movie. It certainly inspired a generation, a slew of other movies. It was so popular when it was released that the MPAA forbid all the studios to use the word chainsaw in their movie for like a year or two after the release, because they were worried that a bunch of copycat movies would come out, because everyone was talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So they said, if you're a studio, you can't. Hey, Pixel Bleed, thank you for the follow. Thank you very much, appreciate. I have close to 25 follow now, you know, so it's not nothing. Slowly but surely. Thank you, Pixel Bleed. Thank you very much. Yeah, I also have an Instagram. You can there's much more stuff on Instagram, I think, than Reddit. I don't really post that often on Reddit. I guess I should, but you can check the Instagram. I have, I think most of the stuff that's here, I think I posted at some point or another. I try to post pretty much everything I do. Yeah, so that movie, they MPA said, you know what? If you want to call your movie, you can call your movie anything, but you can't use the word chainsaw in the United States for a long time after that, which is crazy when you think of it. So we did him, and this took us quite a bit of time. Last time 3 hours something, and then we finished him in about an hour or so, and then for 1.5 hours maybe, and then we did this quick river stream, which I think is all right. I mean, it's in line with this, you know. It's like your little mountain, and here's your little mountain river. There you go. River. Let's name this. Should I try to do something else now, or should I stop? It's probably a good time to stop, but at the same time, I wonder if I should try and do something else. I could start another character, but I don't know if I'll have time to finish it. For those who are new, I have this silly idea of a board game where it would be some sort of how can I describe this? Some sort of roguelike / survival something, where all the characters, they're inspired, they're parodies of all the super iconic characters from movies, from essentially from the 80s and before, 70s and 60s, and the idea would be that any character you meet, you can potentially have in your team up to 4 at the same time. And so you could imagine those really bizarre teams with just a bunch of characters that have nothing to do with each other, and hopefully the synergies and just things that would happen in the game generally would just create an interesting little pixel. Thank you, little pixel, for the follow. It's a lot of pixel guys. We had little pixel, we had pixel bleed. I guess that makes sense, right? and so you could imagine that you would have E.T. and Terminator and Indiana Jones and Dorothy from Wizard of Oz in the same team, you know. So that you know, that makes me smart. So we'll see how it goes. To be frank, this is also mostly a way for me to have a theme to work and a project, a long-term goal. So I have a bunch of characters that I can try and make. I have a list of characters at the moment. I have 120 characters that I want to make, and I divided them in three groups: evil and neutral and good. And also what I wanted to do is that what could be fun is that let's say you have 2 good characters, and then you meet a character that is evil. You can try and have him join the team, but the good characters, there's always a chance they'll get pissed and they leave. So it's always kind of a balance where you try and manage to find people that can sort of go together. And if not, they could still be a good team, but at any point you could sort of lose control of that, you know, because they could either leave or even turn on each other. So that could be a fun thing to do. And I even want to have the vehicles of the game. That could be super fun. you know, like so I did those two as a test. uh, the Beetle, you guys probably know this one from the 60s, and this is the DeLorean from Back to the Future. I guess you know that Back to the Future. So here's an interesting fact. I learned that not too long ago. Originally, Robert Zemeckis, who did Back to the Future, probably one of my favorite movies ever. He wanted the time machine to be a refrigerator and not a car, which would that it's really weird, but that's what he wanted. But then he thought that maybe kids would like seeing the movie. They would like to reproduce what they see in the movie, and they were worried that some kids would end up trapped in fridges because of them, you know. So they changed it for a car. I thought it was a fun story. This is a bunch of environments. So for the environments, I was looking for a way to represent them, and so I would like the whole game to have this. Any plan for items? Yes, yes. Actually, it's good that you mentioned this. Items, definitely props from other movies, from the movies as well. You could have the red ruby slippers from Dorothy. You could have this guy's chainsaw that you find. You could have that cube, right, that you open to make this guy come. You can have this axe. You can have all sorts of, not only weapons, you know, but all sorts of things. The sports almanac from Back to the Future 2 would be an interesting thing. And then so I have many influences for this idea for the game, and mainly in terms of gameplay and games that I really like, and board games in particular. There's two games that I really like a lot. One is called Robinson Crusoe, and the other one is called Eldritch Horror. And those two I really like. And I guess the way I see it would be some sort of mix between those two. But what I would like to do is have a ton of different characters, ton of different items, ton of different vehicles and stuff, so that there's a million different synergies. And this is very much inspired by The Binding of Isaac. I played this a lot. I played a lot Binding of Isaac. Very, very, very fun game. And the way the builds work and all the different, you can play this game a million times, it'll never feel the same because of all the synergies that you can find. And so I thought that would be a lot of fun to try and get that same vibe in a board game with a bunch of characters that you've seen in movies, you know. So that's kind of the idea, and that's why I'm making all those guys. So let's see if you guys are good. Oh, actually, let me show you something else. So when I started with very small size. Look at this. Look at how many. So I really wanted the game to have a sort of a you know, a retro vibe, because it's all movies from the 80s, most of them, and before. And so because I'm also an old school guy and I like retro gaming and all that sort of stuff, I really wanted to have a visual style that would be retro. So pixel art was perfect for me, because it's really how I started as well. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna you know, use this as a representation, and then I started as super minimalistic, very, very small character, 32 pixel high. And I was wondering, how small can you be before you can't recognize someone, you know? And I was actually surprised that you can go very, very small. You don't really need that many pixels for a character to be identifiable. So my very first that I did was this one. It was probably more than a year ago now, at least, maybe two, I don't know. So that's you know, Blondie in character played by Clint Eastwood in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Probably my favorite Western of all time. Highly recommended. If you guys don't know that movie, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, you absolutely have to watch that. It's absolutely brilliant. So Blondie, I did, and then I did Rocky, you know, in his gray um, uh, sports suit, and then with the trunks, the American flag trunks, and then I did Tony Montana from um, Scarface and Rambo, and then Marty McFly, Indiana Jones, and that's Dave Bowman and his friend from 2001. That's Barbarella. That's Princess Buttercup from The Princess Bride. This is the girl from ugh. Oh, okay. Oh, you know what? Okay, Pixel Bleed. You're gonna play with me. If anyone else want to play, let's do this. Okay, Pixel Bleed. This is you. This is time to shine now. Okay, who's that? From which movie? Very hard. This one is really hard. Don't many. Thank you. Well, some of them are really hard, and just because people don't necessarily know the movie or it's a bit more obscure. Honestly, I had to look up the this one. So yeah, this one is from Labyrinth, the film with David Bowie. So this one's really hard to find. Honestly, it's not like she has a super iconic, um, outfit in the film. Hold on. They were not meant to be seen on a white background at the time, so I'll just change this real quick. Otherwise, it'll be hard for you to. Who's this guy? Can someone guess? Who's this guy? Yes, well done. Well, Pixel Bleed is he's good. How about him? This movie, you don't need this movie. It's a black and white movie. It's brilliant. Probably one of the funniest comedies of all time, in my opinion. No? Do you want me to tell you? Okay. I'm gonna tell you. Okay. This is Doctor Strangelove from the film Doctor Strangelove, right? From and he's in this. Remember this film? He's okay. We're gonna watch a quick clip of this guy because this guy is absolutely brilliant. It was Peter Sellers at the time. Um, yeah, well, you have to watch Doctor Strangelove. It's absolutely brilliant. Actually, I can't show you because no, I can. Is it okay? Is it okay to do that on you on Twitch? Am I gonna get banned if I show a clip from a movie? You guys know that? I don't want to get kicked or anything because I did something against the rules. Am I allowed to do this? You guys let me know. If I can, I'll go back and we'll look at it. As long as it's short, okay. Well, we'll do a little clip. Okay, YouTube. So this guy is so if you're a little familiar with the 60s and the Cold War, in the 60s there was I'll tell you a little bit of the story. In the 60s, so the Cold War was like, there was like the space race and the nuclear race, and the movie Doctor Strangelove is about this, this time in US history. And at the time after World War II, what happened is that the Nazis, they had a lot of very, very good scientists. One of them was called Werner von Braun, and this guy, he was a famous rocket scientist, and he was at the origin of the V1 and the V2 program. And the V1, the V2, they were the very first, if you will, ballistic missiles that that the German used to bomb London. So they were basically, yes, Doctor Strangelove, yeah. So, oh no, Doctor Strangelove, nah, forget Doctor Strange, no, Doctor Strangelove. And so Well, my internet craps the bed, so we may not actually see anything. But so Werner von Braun was this very famous scientist, and when the war ended, you know, the U.S., the Israel, and the Americans, they chased the Nazis around. But the scientists really, they were not really Nazis, so to speak. They were scientists, you know, and they had no choice. They had to work for the government, and so Werner von Braun was, uh, yeah, I know, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I was asking myself the question, why is that? Why is it so slow when I stream? I don't drop frames. I'm fairly solid. So anyway, so Werner von Braun, he was, and him with a bunch of guys from his team, they basically the Americans, they offered them a job, you know, and they didn't really have a choice because they had lost the war. So they took them in the U.S. And Werner von Braun was one of the main rocket scientists that was at the original, the first Gemini program to launch rockets into space, and then Apollo. And so, really, the Americans, we got men on the moon mainly because of ex-Nazi Germany scientists. And so the film Doctor Strangelove talks a little bit about that in a very funny way. Okay, War Room. Okay, Doomsday Machine. So Peter Sellers, if you guys know this guy, he was a very, very famous English, British actor, and he was hilarious. And in this film, he plays several characters. I think he plays 3 or 4 characters. And in the scene that you're about to see, oh, actually, no, hold on. Can I? Well, you won't have the sound because I don't pull the sound from this. Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. Well, check this out then. Check it out. Look for this, and you'll see. It's very funny. And anyway, Peter Sellers was playing Doctor Strangelove and the President of the United States and another character, I think. So that was it. Yeah, I don't take the sound from the stream because you want to keep going. Yeah, Tron, very good. This is probably easy for you, I assume. Right, exactly. This is a little harder, I think. This is a little more difficult. Anyone else can join, obviously. Taxi Driver, very well done. Very well done. This I don't know if you can recognize him. I'm not even, yeah, exactly. Wow, I'm impressed. How about him? I think it, yep, very good. Clockwork Orange. So this I think you're gonna say something and it won't be, okay, let's see, because everyone says something for this one and that's not the one I thought, but it could be when I did it. Tick tock, tick tock. Think. It's difficult. It's pretty hard. Children of the Corn. No, but it's a child. This is Damien from The Omen. He has this little bicycle that, you know, that he rides around, and he pushes his mother at some point from the balcony because he's evil. What about, oh, this guy's very hard. Not sure you can find this. This is a movie I love, by the way. I love this movie, but it's a bit, I guess, yes. Oh, my favorite 80s film, this is easy. It's Raiders of the Lost Ark by far. That's my favorite movie of all time. Raiders. And very, very close. It looks like Hefner. Well, actually, this is exactly the same outfit though, but it's not him. Breakfast Club, yeah, very good. Yeah, I love by very, very favorite movies, like my top 5 would probably be Raiders of the Lost Ark, Brazil from Terry Gilliam, and yeah, I could do that. It's a good idea. So Brazil, Terry Gilliam. I love One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and I love what else? A bunch of movies. Back to the Future. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Baron Munchausen, yeah, Terry Gilliam as well. So this is from this is Peter Vincent, which was kind of like a fun name that they play with. It was a contraction between, you know, David Vincent and Van Helsing and all that stuff. But it was Peter Vincent from Fright Night from the 80s. I think it was 1986, I think. Fright Night, very fun movie. It's a guy, he thinks that he's convinced that his neighbor is that just moved in is a vampire, and he tries to convince everyone. It's really funny. Very 80s movie. They wouldn't do that anymore. How about her? Can you guess? Well, okay, no, it's not Lady Hawk, but I definitely want to do Lady Hawk. And Lady Hawk's going to be great because also, let me do a quick... so you notice that every time I did 2 versions, either 2 outfits of the same character or 2 versions of the same character in different movies or whatnot. And the reason why is because in the game, what I wanted to do is have a character is a card, right? Is on a card, and they're 2-sided, and one side would be the NPC side, where there's all the instructions and the stuff for the game system to play them, you know, in sort of an automated way. And then when you hire them in your team, then you flip the card over and you play the player side. And so that's why I need 2 pictures for each character, which brings the total to 240 different sprites. So we're here for a moment. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun for quite some time. So her, she is from John Milius movie. Love that movie, and I love John Milius because he was an incredible writer. He was a bit of a dick, but he was a very, very good writer. I can come back to her. No, it's Valeria from Conan the Barbarian. This is when she is in her normal thief outfit, and this is when she comes back from Valhalla to save him at the very end, you know, if you remember that scene. What about him? This is also a movie that I absolutely love. Yeah, no, Conan wasn't next to her. Right. What about him? Oh, right, okay. This is such an incredible movie, very intense. No, this is not Chuck Norris. No, this is Robert De Niro. I can tell you that the name of the actor. It's Robert De Niro. Any idea? Yes, very good, very good. You're good. I'm impressed. You know, not too many people find this one. This is number 12. Whatever, you know, football. That's not okay. Fine. What about him? Yeah, because yeah, that's the hunter. You know, when they come back from Vietnam and he hunts. Um, this no. This is a John Carpenter movie, 1970 something. Yeah, not in LA. It's Escape from New York. But yeah, you got it. You got it. What about her? It's a very cool movie too. Oh, the football player? No, the football player is an actual real football player. That was Tom Brady. I'm sorry. Yeah. I know some people hate him, but I made Tom Brady. Sue me. Uh, what about her? Pretty creepy movie. Pretty creepy. Based on a Stephen King story. Misery, yes, with the pig. This is one of my favorite movies from the 80s, right? That was hilarious. Ferris, yep, yes sir. Well done. How about her? I think when you have this shot in your hometown, really, that's awesome. Which town is it? Is it Boston? I don't remember which town it was. Was it Boston? I think it was Boston. No? Chicago. Yeah, 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 yeah. I remember the loop when he's in the in the in the skyscraper, and they have the parade, and you see the loop, I think, right? Um, right. Yeah. Okay. Uh-huh. Her? Hmm. I didn't know that. Gary, yes, indeed. This is pretty classic, I think. Maybe you don't remember the name of the character, but you know which movie is it from, probably. Pretty sure you know. And now everyone is like, he's not ever gonna do some art anymore. That's it. He's gonna talk about movies for all night. It's possible. I mean, I did some art if you came earlier. Blanking out. This is a Francis Ford Coppola movie. I can tell you if you want. It's a colonel. Do you want me to tell you? Wait, okay. Yes, yes, yes. It's Robert Duvall. So you know who it is. It's yes, Apocalypse Now. Colonel Kilgore. That's his name, Kilgore. Even the name is awesome. So did you know like that? Yeah, yeah. Well, sometimes it takes a while, but you got them all so far. So pretty impressive. Yeah, this is a fun story too. The famous line, "I love the smell of napalm in the morning." This line and the other line that is brilliant in the movie, which is Charlie Don't Surf. Why Charlie Don't Surf? Because Charlie was the way the U.S. They designated the Viet Cong. They call him Charlie, because C and also Charlie, and the line Charlie Don't Surf meant that basically the Marines had taken all the beaches, and so the Viet Cong didn't have access anymore to the beaches, so Charlie Don't Surf. And this line Charlie Don't Surf and I love the smell of napalm in the morning. It's John Milius who wrote this. The guy who directed Conan, he wrote a bunch of very famous lines in movies, like the whole speech of Dirty Harry when he explains the how powerful the 44 Magnum is. That's also John Milius, as well as if you remember that incredible monologue of Quinn in Jaws, the one where he talks about the Indianapolis and how they got sunk, and all the sharks who kill all the sailors one after another. The whole monologue, the way it happened was Spielberg had written something for it, and he didn't like it very much, and you know that Spielberg, Coppola, Brian De Palma, John Milius, who else? I'm forgetting someone. George Lucas. They were kind of all a bunch of friends. Some of them were in the same film school. Some of them met later, but they were kind of a bunch of very close tight. And so Spielberg, he knew that Milius, he would be the guy for that. So he called him over the phone and said, well, I have this monologue about this guy and the story with the Indiana police, and it doesn't quite work. I'm not sure what to do. And he told he wrote, he read the entire thing on the phone to Milius, and Milius, he wasn't mincing his word. He didn't care at all. He said, "Oh yeah, this is shit. It's really terrible. Why don't you try that instead?" And then the legend goes that Spielberg says that right there on the phone, John Milius dictated the entire Indianapolis monologue to him, and he didn't change one word. That's only after when the actor, I can't remember his name, took the monologue. He started to improvise a little bit, and he changed a few things, but for the most part, 90% came from John Milius on the phone, just like that. He ad-libbed it, which is crazy. Anyway, enough of the anecdotes. What about this guy? Oh, well, it's interesting. It could have been, but no, it's Easy Rider. The character played by Peter Fonda. Yeah, Le Mans is right. Le Mans is an interesting. It's a crazy. There's a documentary about this movie, this film. I don't know if you've seen it. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. It was a hard one. It was a hard one. But yeah, Le Mans was. It's the film that Stephen McQueen always wanted to do, and he spent an enormous amount of energy and money and everything into it, and it didn't turn out any at all how he expected. But he went to the actual race and raced the actual race. He was that hardcore, Steve McQueen, that he wanted to race the real race at Le Mans in order to film the, to be completely authentic. But yeah, this film was one of the. There's a good documentary. I think it's on Netflix. You can find it, where they go over the whole background of how this movie became pretty much a disaster. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if I had what's his face, the other guy, yeah, then yeah, totally, yeah, for sure, totally. Well, her, she's, I mean, it's pretty easy, I think. Yeah, Dennis Hopper, thank you. Jessica Rabbit, obviously. Very cool character, very fun character. The boomstick, remember that? That's the boomstick. Yep. What about him? Yep. The 12 gauge. Yeah. Mad Max, indeed. Well, this is super easy. I'm not even gonna do you the insult of asking. Same guy in different movies. Bruce Lee, yeah. Her, same character, both there. I think you can find this pretty easy. Pretty sure you're gonna find this. Well, okay, so the dog is not really part of her or story or anything. There's a dog at the very end of the first movie, and that's why I put it there, because it's kind of like it's yeah, it is kind of, because it's kind of the theme, the dogs, and how they smell the Terminators and everything. And so I thought, oh, because she was a little bland by herself, she was like, oh, like blue pants, t-shirt. So I thought, oh, I'm just gonna throw the dog in, you know. But yeah, it's a little confusing. I have to admit. This is pretty much close to impossible to find because it's a guy in a suit, and unless you know exactly the films and you remember, wow, yeah, holy shit, well done. Okay, well, I guess it's possible then. Very, very good. You're by far the best I've had so far. I've tried this with different friends, different people, even people that are pretty good and know their films, and I couldn't find most of them. Yeah, yeah. Well, they're the same characters. Actually, technically, I think they're the same, right? They're the same character, but one is in real life and the other one is in the world. Buzz. Yep, indeed. This is very difficult. Yeah, so you're like me then. Yeah, yeah. What about this guy? This guy is a so this is a really cool movie. Very cool movie. A very gritty, very 70s movie. Very 70s. The kind of stuff that we don't really do anymore, you know? Kind of like a bit unforgiving. Uh, but it's difficult. This one's hard. This one's very hard. Yeah. This is from The Warriors. If you remember Swan in The Warriors. Oh, I should have given you a name. Sorry. I gave it away. Did you see The Warriors? Remember that? Can you dig it? Running Man. Yeah, that's a good idea actually. Yeah, let me write this down. Yeah, I didn't do Running Man. That's a very, very good idea. Let me write this down right away. I don't have Running Man. Hold on. Write this. Here's my thing. My notes. Yep, Running Man. Very good. And Breakfast Club. Okay. Yeah, Terminator 2. It's the same, but you know, version. What about him? As you know this guy. You know this guy. Yep, Maverick. About him. This guy is very creepy. Very creepy character. Very cool movie too. 70s. The 70s. Who could that be? Can give you a hint if you want. If you need a hint, let me know. Let me see. I don't want to give it too easily. I think that hint's gonna say too much, but we'll see. He's a dentist. Maybe I give two. Yep, Marathon Man. Well done. Very well done. Okay, this is absolute classic. This movie, people will still go see this movie and have fun in theaters forever. Forever. Yep, indeed. What about him? He's got two outfits and two sets of weapons that are in two different movies. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Voorhees, yes. And him? Very fun movie, also. very fun from the 80s. Yeah, I think it's doable because of the shirt. Obviously, I didn't have that much pixels to represent what's on the shirt, but I think if you know the colors more or less, you could find it. But it's tough. It's a John Carpenter movie, I can tell you that. John Carpenter. Maybe you haven't seen it, you know? Uh-huh. Yes. Excellent. You're very good. I'm very impressed. Very impressed. I think you found almost everyone. Almost everyone, which is really impressive. I can, yeah, I pull my hat to you because this is impressive. Not too many people have done that. Actually, I don't think I've ever seen anyone finding as many as you did. So well done. Yeah, Tango and Cash. This is more like the 90s though, right? I mean, I could do the 90s. So the idea was more or less to stay 80s or before because I wanted the really retro vibe, you know. It's just my time too, so that's why. But I guess I could also make movies that are oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So anyway, the point was the point was I started at this size and I liked it, but then I thought if you guys know, you probably know a game called Sword and Sorcery EP. Very beautiful game, and I can't remember the name of the guy who did this, but basically they really came up with those stick leg, very long characters, very lanky, very beautiful art. Um, and then I thought about that later on, and then I looked at them, and I felt like it was a little too close for comfort. I was a little uncomfortable because even though I didn't think about it when I made those characters, I just wanted to make them as small as possible just to see if people could still recognize them. It made me a bit uncomfortable that people could think that kind of ripped off the style a bit too much. So then I figured, okay, well, maybe I ought to do something else then, maybe a bit bigger. Super Brothers effect. Yeah, right. You got it. Super Brothers. So I scrapped them all and I started over with a bigger size, much bigger, 64 pixels high. And they're also, I mean, they're also interesting in a different way. Definitely a lot more to see. Yeah, no, I know. But honestly, I think it would have been okay. I don't think I would have been taken a lot of flack for it or anything. But I guess you know, I figured I don't know if I want to go there and start. I don't want to have to explain any of this. So and also because I like to try different things, I figured I'm gonna try and see a bigger size. You know how first of all how much more work it is compared to the very small ones, and are they more interesting, less, same? And so I started to do a bunch bigger. Some of them I took from the small ones and kind of upscaled them. Some of them I started from scratch. Um, Yeah, yeah, it's the stick legs yeah, mainly. And also, I mean, to be fair, there were a few cases where I thought there were, because you're really good, you found them, but there were a bunch of them um, that looked a little too similar to others, and I figured maybe I should try and make them a little bigger, you know. And I did that test, and then I posted on Reddit where I did different sizes. I did this size, and then did the small size and intermediate, and I asked on Reddit what people thought, you know, and I did the same thing on Instagram and other places. And it turned out that most people were actually they liked the big size or the small. It was kind of 50-50, but the bigger size got a little more votes than anyone else. And since it was fun to do as well, you know, it's a bigger challenge because I have a lot more work and I can do a lot more. But also, there are some really good poses that I can afford to do that I couldn't do as a small size. So, yeah, yeah, no, definitely the small ones. They really have a this cool. What's cool about them is that they're really they're they bring everything down to the core, to the very minimum that you have, that you need to convey something. um but the big ones, like I said, you know, like you can do some cool poses that are closer to what you see in the films or on posters. So there's that too, that's quite cool. um so for now, I'll keep going with those. And so then I figured I'm gonna stream, you know, and maybe have some people that want to watch this, and maybe some give me some advice too, and their opinion, and all that sort of stuff, you know. And so because I wanted to do environments too, you know, like locations. um I, yeah, 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 it's Darkness from Legend. Yeah. Yeah, this one had a lot of fun to do. It was a big sprite, and took me a while, but I was happy to do it. I really like this film too. Uh, yeah, it's good fun. Um, yeah, 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 yeah. And so we can do the cars too, which is fun, you know. The people in suits. Which one? Oh, so okay. So this is so those are the villains, the enemies in the game. So you can go on Instagram and read about it. I have a really silly sort of backdrop story for it. Um, and but well, I can read it to you if you want. It's very silly. But hold on. Let me find this. Instagram. It's very silly, but basically, I still need some generic enemies, you know, because most of the idea is that all the NPCs, all the characters from the movies, you can have them in your team, and you can fight them if you piss them and they're not happy. Um, but I need, you know, more like generic enemies. And so the idea was this. Let me try and find. Hold on. Gonna try. I'll read it very, very quick. Uh, Where is it? Because obviously, none of this is to be taken seriously. Okay, so I'll read it very quickly. So hold on. So this is one of the beings your team of movie characters will face in the game. It's 1985 in the quiet town of Bangor, Maine. A man gets wind of a mysterious artifact uncovered from the bowels of Arkham Mental Institution, decides to see for himself. Long story short, said device is found and used, which promptly opens a passage to another dimension through the ladies' room. From this place pour belligerent things, eldritch horrors. We call them the producers for their uncanny ability to devise plans within plans. They immediately set out to take over our world, but decide to focus on the state of Maine as a proof of concept. Pandemonium ensues, but there's a silver lining to our story. In their eagerness, the producers left open a passage to their dimension, giving life to a vast array of deranged people we only thought as myth. Because they don't have much to do, these guys immediately fight the threat and or participate to the madness. So there you go. That's the story. So basically the idea is to try and have a little bit of fun with the the whole movie industry in Hollywood. Basically those guys, they're the producers, and they try to mess up everything, and the actors, all the characters in the movies, they fight them. And I just wanted to create some kind of weird look to them that was both kind of like a little disturbing with the spaghetti head, and also that sort of dressed classy. So there you go. So that's the thing. So these guys will probably fight them during the entire thing. So this is it. That's the idea for now. What else? This is a little Mac. Classic. So I guess I'm probably gonna call it soon. Time 3 hours. Yeah, probably. So I don't know what I'll do next time. We'll probably do another character, I guess. We'll see. Or maybe I'll do a vehicle. I've never done a car so far on stream, so I guess we could do that. So Ghostbusters is a problem. Here's why. Because so imagine, like, for every kind of movie you want a main character, right? So Raiders of the Lost Ark, easy. Indiana Jones, and Jack Torrance from The Shining, but Ghostbusters, if you have Vankman, you need all of them. Like, are you gonna have 4 Ghostbusters in the game? That's kind of problematic because it's 4 characters from one movie, and I don't know if I want to have 4 characters from one movie, right? So how do you do? How do you do that? I can't quite solve the issue there. I don't know what to do with that. Obviously you want the Ghostbusters because they're absolutely awesome, and they're probably so iconic in the 80s. But generic Ghostbuster, yeah, I guess you could do that. Yeah, it's true. He's a Ghostbuster, whoever you want him to be. But then people will complain because they'll be like, well, there's no black Ghostbuster, How about that? That's gonna be a problem too. People are gonna complain, guarantee you. So then I need one black Ghostbuster and one white Ghostbuster. I could do that, honestly. I will definitely have the Beverly Hills Cop. It's on the list. I was that close to make him last time, and then I decided for Leatherface at the last minute. Oh, the Rocketeer, yes, excellent. No, okay, Predator. Yeah, Predator. I have Spaceballs. Yeah, Harry and the Hendersons. No, Willow. Maybe. Yeah, Beetlejuice. I have Beverly Hills Cop. I have. Yeah, Willow. I don't know. I wonder. Maybe. Gremlins. I have. Yep. Oh, Darkman. Don't have Darkman. That's a very good one. Very good. Let me write this down. Oh, The Fly. Yeah, yeah. But I have too many now. Let me write this down real quick. So we need to think of props, interesting props. Okay, Darkman. Running Man. I got him. And then there's, I'm gonna do the Rocketeer. Yeah, the Rocketeer. That's so cool. Love this guy. Rocketeer. Yes, Little Shop of Horrors. I have that. Yeah, the plant. Totally. Yeah, yeah, the plant is great. The Fly. Have you seen The Fly, the original one, the 1958 one? I really like it a lot. Much better than the remake, actually. In my opinion, at least for me. I mean, the other one is good too, but I prefer the old one. Yeah, you should definitely should. If you can find it, you should definitely watch it because it's very interesting the way they've done it. It's super creepy as well. It's very different, but I can't spoil it. But it's very different the way they deal with the exchange, if you will, of the fly and how he gets the fly, and and that again how they get mixed up. It's really it's very interesting. What else? Predator, I have him. Willow, I'm gonna write down, but I don't know. I don't know about Willow. Maybe. Beetlejuice, yep. Remo Williams? I have no idea what this is. I don't have Teen Wolf, but I have the American Werewolf in London. Does that count? Is that good? So yeah, so Dune, I don't think I will do Dune, and the reason is because it's such a vast thing. It's almost like an IP, Dune. It's like I won't do Star Wars or I won't do Marvel or any of that stuff because they're so massive universe that it's almost like if you where are you gonna draw the line? Where do you stop? Because you could find 100 good characters in Star Wars probably. So, and also there, I don't know, I feel like it's more fun to have more variety in movies and some obscure ones. And Star Wars, it's almost like too too obvious in a way. Not that I don't like Star Wars, but um no, I think I'll probably avoid the big IPs, the big franchise. No Batman, no Superman, none of that stuff. Even though I love the old Batman, the one from what's his name? Oh, forgot the director. But I don't know. Superheroes, probably not. Um, um, uh, yeah, Goonies, got that. Yeah, yeah, got the Goonies. It's cool, man. That's a very good ideas. So yeah, I mean, I think next time we'll do what you guys want me to do. If you want me to do a character, we'll do a character. If you prefer, maybe we can do a car. Car could be fun too. It's a bit different. Yeah, Crawl. Yeah, Crawl. Was that Peter Hyams or this movie? I think so. You know, it's funny because Crawl, most of the people when I mention that movie, they don't know at all what it is, and then and then and then when I describe it, some people they remember it and they're like, "Oh yeah, that was terrible." I'm like, "No, no, that was actually quite cool." No, but anyway, I think I'm gonna probably call it. It's been a long day plus the stream. Yeah, it was good. I liked it. So what I'm gonna try and do starting next week is so I'm gonna try and stream on Mondays, Wednesday, and Friday every week, because so far I've been changing the days all the time, and I don't think it's very good for people. They can't remember which day it's gonna be. One last thing, yeah, I'm still here. You have time. Um, so I think I'll try to stream on fixed days. It's gonna be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then I'll stream at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so West Coast for me. Unfortunately for you guys on the East Coast, it means that it's gonna be midnight, and I know it's late, which is not great. And I'm thinking that maybe I will need to start the stream sooner. Maybe 7 would be better, but for me it's a little difficult with work and everything. So 9 is a good time for me, but I understand that for you guys on the East Coast, it's not the best. So I'll try. Maybe I'll do 8. I'll try to see if I can do at least an hour earlier. Maybe that would be a good compromise. Yeah, I hope you'll come back, Pixel Brilliant. Definitely. There's a lot of fun. I'm really I'm really impressed with your vast knowledge in movies. You probably have a ton of very good feedback from me. So yeah, that's awesome. Uh, Tootsie, you know, it's the name of my cat. It's funny. You typed that in. I was like, what? Why is he talking about my cat? Because now it's my cat. It's become my cat. It was the film, but now I've had her for so long that now when I hear Tootsie, I don't really think about the film. I think about my cat, which is really weird. So I was like, what? How come he knows? um, very good. Yeah, I have a bunch of them too. Yeah, it is a classic. Yeah, and also I need a lot of you know, it's funny because it's when you're trying to name a bunch of iconic characters from movies and you list them. This is how when you realize, especially in the 70s and the 80s, this is when you realize how disproportionately made it is. I had quite a bit of a hard time to find. I want to have as many female as I can, so it's a little bit balanced, you know. But it's actually quite difficult. There's a lot more, unfortunately, or I mean, it's just a fact, you know. Unfortunately, there's a lot more interesting characters in the 70s and the 80s, or iconic characters that are male. So that kind of sucks a little bit. I'll still manage to find a good portion of them, but you have to look a little deeper to find them. Definitely not as easy. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a possibility to do that. You could, yeah, you could do that. Have some sort of sidekick character. Why not? Yeah, could do that. It's a good idea. Yeah, we'll think about that. Yeah. You know what's gonna be great with Lady Hawk is that because I have a night phase in the game and a day phase, and so obviously in Lady Hawk they would change right at night and day. That would be really cool, especially if you have the two of them. Um. Anyway, nerd talk, geek talk, I guess. Um. Tag them in. Yeah. Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, she changes. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna end the stream. Pixel Bleed, thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out and giving me all of those ideas. Come back soon. As often as you can. That'll be good. Whether you like pixel art or not as well. I guess you do if you're called Pixel Bleed. Then it's probably a good place for you to hang out. um, and everyone else, whether you lurk, whether you were there for the entire thing, or or just for a few minutes, or anything in between, I appreciate every single person that came here. That, like I said, that gives me a lot of energy to work, and to keep going with this little silly project. And I'll see you guys on Monday at 9 p.m. Pacific time. And in the meantime, have a good weekend, rest, have fun, and I'll see you next time. Yeah, definitely spread the word, Pixel Bleed. That'll help a lot. Thank you guys. Bye bye.